towards Ardmore, that's where it is, and we are seeing this couplet or that rotation really starting to ramp up. Now this is going to be just to the northeast of Grady, Oklahoma. This will come into Wreck. That's right there in southwestern Carter County. And then just kind of for some background on where we are geographically here, this is Ringling Municipal Airport. They are under the tornado warning. This is 89, that Highway 89, and this is the main couplet or that main circulation that's generally been going on this northeasterly track. We did see a northward surge in this as it crossed the Red River into Oklahoma about an hour ago, and we'll have to watch and see if this tries to surge north. That would be tracking towards Healdon. Here's Zanis Elementary. There's the Black and Gold Casino. Here's Blue Ribbon Church, and right here, Lone Grove High School would be included in that current tornado warning. Okay, Hunter, let's take off this warning for a second, see if we can pause this and query some of these wind speeds and to kind of get a good idea of what we're seeing with how strong some of these low-level winds are. This, again, is tracking to the northeast. Looks like we have almost 91 mile per hour radar estimated winds with this embedded tornado warning. Nothing confirmed on the ground at this time, but this has been pretty steady, like I said, for the last couple of hours. And so it's definitely not out of the question that we could see something touch down briefly going forward into the rest of this evening. The purple right there is just because of the radar, but this is the main couplet we're watching now, just due basically northeast of Grady, Oklahoma. Again, if you are just joining us, it's a little after 8:30. This tornado warning just issued now for Carter County. But folks in Ardmore are not included. But if you are anywhere along the I-35 corridor there from Carter County right now, even up into some of southern Murray County, you just need to be watching this storm very closely. The environment out ahead of this has not been tapped into so far today. We've had some light showers, some rain. It hasn't necessarily looked like a big severe weather day, but we have enough low-level wind shear in the atmosphere tonight, especially now that those low-level winds are starting to kick in after sunset, and that's still allowing these storms to really spin and get going. And unfortunately, we are looking at this scenario now after the sun has set. It's dark. I don't think we have a ton of lightning with this particular storm, and the rotation is going to be embedded back in the rain with the main core right there, kind of in the purples and reds there. That's going to be where the main rotation is, likely not visible. Even if you were hoping to catch a glimpse of that, it's just not going to happen, likely possibly even rain wrapped there. So the couplet continues crossing right now the Jefferson and Carter County line coming in from the west. This is moving about east-northeast, and the Hunter is drawing out that exact couplet. You can see when we talk about wind shear, the turning winds, that's that counterclockwise rotation right there at the low levels, and we have at least 90 mile per hour winds with this particular thunderstorm now, and a tornado warning as well for southern Oklahoma. That's the main storm we are concerned about at this time. There is going to be some tornado potential with the second round that arrives late tonight, so you'll want to make sure you have multiple ways to receive those weather alerts as you're going to bed. And I believe we do have Hunter mic'd. If we have any updates with this, Hunter, let's go ahead and touch base on this going forwards.
No real updates from the National Weather Service. They were just talking about how much wind shear or the couplet and the speeds right up around 90 miles per hour, but just some statistics or criteria behind this warning. It goes until 9:15 this evening, the tornado being possible, ping pong ball size hail. One thing that we've noticed is these storms have been relatively slow movers today, around 25, 30, maybe upwards of 35 miles per hour, but the overall flow, we've had wind gusts upwards of around 35 to 40 miles per hour today, all coming out of the east-northeast. Generally, that's what these storms have been moving up, but the winds have been coming out of the south, very strong, but as that dry line continues to push further east, we're going to see these storms that will probably keep on just going. I mean, we have been seeing earlier today, it wasn't really impressive all too much out towards the west. They were kind of lackluster, but now obviously we are getting into the nitty-gritty of all of these strong storms, Mandy.
Yeah, we were talking about those low-level winds. Oftentimes, if storms don't capitalize on peak heating earlier in the day, when we get a lot of things going, it's kind of like the atmosphere is letting out a sigh at night, and you get all of that energy now released, and that's what we are seeing right at this time frame. The later into the night we get, some of that will start to stabilize a bit, and it's just kind of a waiting game on what the window is that we're going to reach when we start to see the atmosphere kind of stabilizing. Not there yet given this. But let's pull up the hail core too with this specifically, Hunter, because I am starting to see some stronger returns there, and we may watch that core starting to strengthen. We had quarter-size hail confirmed near Ringling, Oklahoma with this particular thunderstorm, so that's about an inch. So far, that's about the highest with this particular one we've seen. Hail has been a big issue for storms out west today with at least golf ball size hail. That certainly could be possible with these moving in. So anyone that's well out ahead of this, you have some time to pull those cars in the garages. We're not talking any type of drastic action, but this is if you're way ahead of the tornado warning. If you're in the tornado warning, you need to be taking shelter. And as a reminder, when it comes to tornado warning, seeking shelter, you got to shelter with what you have. If this is the time where you're realizing you need to take some action, it's going to be a little too late if you were hoping to travel somewhere ahead of the storm. If you're in this warning, you need to be getting to the lowest level of where you're at and away from those windows. A lot of times we're not as concerned about the wind itself. It's what's with the wind, that debris that could be lofted up, leaves, tree limbs, whatever else the storm picks up. That's going to be the big danger with these thunderstorms, with any type of just anything lofted in the atmosphere. So you're going to want to protect yourself, get in that interior room, maybe if you're on the outside wall of the house, move further inside if that allows. So sometimes you got to work with what you got, and we'll get through this for sure, but I would definitely be seeking shelter if you're in the middle of this tornado warning. We have seen some signs of this main couplet really starting to ramp on up the last couple of scans. That means we have at least 90 per hour winds now as it travels into Carter County, and still no confirmation of anything touching down, but we are concerned that this storm is continuing to ramp on up. Okay, Hunter, you've got an update.
The latest from the National Weather Service as of less than a minute ago. They're watching that couplet as we've been talking about. They've said that it's started to broaden out, or in other words, weaken just a little bit. So that's some good news. Maybe it won't be lasting all too much longer, but still we have this warning that goes until 9:15 this evening. But still, that's that main couplet that's right over Oklahoma 89 right now, near Ringling. That's going to keep on moving towards the east and northeast, eventually making it in towards Carter County. Mandy.
Yeah, and when we're talking about this area of rotation broadening, that doesn't mean our wind speeds drop. It just means that really tight circulation that typically takes place right before a tornado touches down is starting to get a little bit bigger, and that's harder to get a tornado to touch down when you spread out the full area that it's covering. And so instead of something really small, we're now looking at a little bit bigger area of rotation, but we still have some very strong embedded winds, anywhere from 80 to 90 mile per hour. They're on the far southwestern side of Carter County. That's going to be crossing Highway 70 within the next, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes. And when we can, Hunter, let's go ahead and put a track on this going forwards, because even if we're starting to see this rotation falling apart, the very strong winds embedded with this thunderstorm aren't necessarily going anywhere just yet. And winds can cause just as much damage as tornadoes. It doesn't mean that you're just going to be completely out of the woods, even if the rotation's falling apart. If you have 90 mile per hour winds embedded in that thunderstorm, that's going to do some potential damage too. And so your shelter actions need to reflect that. All right, Hunter, let's read off this track going forward. Again, this is through Carter County for this tornado warned storm.
Yeah, so in the next 3 minutes, it's going to be approaching wreck of this broad rotation. Wilson at 8:47, eventually right near the Black and Gold Casino at 8:49 this evening, out towards Red Ribbon Church and Brock Baptist Church between 8:57 and 9:03, and then near Plainview High School approaching Ardmore right around 9:08 to 9:12. It's moving at around 30 to 35 miles per hour, so it's going to keep on moving pretty much towards the east and northeast, right along Highway 70. It's going to be approaching, Mandy.
Yeah, these storms moving fairly quick today. Some of the reason that's happening is because our upper level winds with the storm system that's approaching are rather strong. They're right overhead, and that's kind of shoving a lot of these storms quickly through Texoma. Let's zoom out a little bit, Hunter, and give everyone a bigger idea of what's going on. We can go ahead and put up reflectivity just so people can see where else we have thunderstorms. We are getting some light showers now developing there in far eastern Johnston County. Those are not severe at this time, but you could see a little bit of lightning and some heavy rain with that little core, mainly due west of Atoka. Again, that one not specifically severe, and just some light rain falling across North Texas. The bigger story is this main wave, and you can see how this is going more linear. This is quick quickly catching up to the line. We have two kind of messy looking line segments right here. The first one right on that Carter County line. The second one back building right along Highway 81 down through about 287 in Clay County. And this behind line, or the furthest west line, may try to catch up to this leading line. And we are expecting eventually a pretty strong line segment to move through tonight. And that would also have a risk for some damaging winds and possibly a brief spin up tornado into the overnight hours. So we are not done, even if this tornado warning does not go past 9:15 this evening. There is still a secondary round that we're waiting on. Our friends out west have been dealing with the storms earlier today. Well, now they're moving into our area, and we're going to be dealing with those for much of the overnight. But current time tornado warning still in place. We've got some very heavy rain. So far, the hail size has not increased. A lot of times when you see the hail size is starting to grow, that means that updraft strength is incredibly strong. We saw that about a week and a half ago with all the hail through Pontotoc County. We had updraft strengths of at least 100 miles per hour. But so far, the hail size starting to increase, but it's not nearly there. We've gotten at least about a nickel to quarter size hail with this particular thunderstorm as it's traveling into Carter County. And that updraft strength definitely not going to be on the higher end of the spectrum. And watching the shear rate product, you can see the legend right here. The weaker end of this rotation is going to be in your lighter and navy blues. And when we start seeing the purples, the pinks, and the whites with that shear rate product, that's when we're getting a real increase with the turning. You saw that back on Highway 81 near Ryan. That's in Jefferson County. You see those blues traveling across 32. But the recent trends so far with this storm have generally been that the rotation has weakened some. We are still seeing signs of that, but it has dropped off slightly compared to what it was farther out to the west. And it's also generally been traveling more north and northeast instead of the due easterly track that we were watching most of today. So those are some trends that we're monitoring. For folks in Fox or Milo there in Carter County, current time you're not under the tornado warning, but if this area of rotation, sometimes it can occlude and really try to move farther north quickly. We saw that happen a little bit there back in Jefferson County. That's not out of the question that this storm could take a sharp north turn. So just because you're out of the tornado warning right now doesn't mean you let your guard down. It means you monitor the progress of this and be ready to seek shelter at a moment's notice if you're somewhere just in the general Carter and Love County area with this thunderstorm. But we are seeing this now mainly in Carter County. It's crossed the Jefferson and Carter County line. The main circulation is right over Wreck, Oklahoma, and that's going to be due south of Hilton and basically due west-southwest of Ardmore. For folks that are maybe in Bernieville, this is going to be off to your northwest, so that circulation will miss you if you're in southern Love County. For folks watching in Texas, right now the storms are not near you, but again, we are expecting more thunderstorms heading later on tonight that could possibly pack a punch going into even some of those later overnight hours. Again, here's the rotation that Hunter has drawn. You can see the spin there with those counterclockwise winds. This is tightened up a little bit more than what we saw scans for the last couple scans, but again, at least 90-mile-per-hour winds embedded with that circulation. Still no confirmation of anything touching down on the ground at this time, but this is an active tornado warning. Let's punch up that debris tracker, the CC. Hunter, we can just kind of check there and make sure we're not getting anything reaching the ground. We are starting to see a little bit of that CC drop. We're going to watch that because sometimes that can mean, and a lot of times that does mean, that we have something more than just rain in the atmosphere that the radar is picking up. And usually this is also what they use to confirm if we possibly have something on the ground real time. So we are seeing this drop. Nothing from the National Weather Service yet, but definitely something indicating we possibly may be near, very close to this tornado actually touching down at this time. For perspective, again, this is 89. This is the Love and Carter County line that it's basically sitting on right now. And this line right here is the Jefferson and Carter County line. So it's right among all three of those, possibly getting something near touchdown right there in far far southwestern Carter County, but still waiting on confirmation from the National Weather Service. But at this time, I would say we are very close to something possibly being on the ground. And it does look like we are starting to see this couplet really tightening up a bit more. What are some of the winds on this, Hunter? Let's check these winds again, and then we'll zoom on in and start talking exact roads that this circulation is over. It looks like at least 86, 77, 85, so maybe a slight drop in some of the strongest wind speeds. We had up to at least 91 mile per hour winds about 5 minutes ago, now getting about 85 to 87, but 3 miles per hour is not going to do that much of a difference with some of these thunderstorms going forward. Okay, zoom on in with this, Hunter. Let's read off some of these roads that kind of are in the path, and let's also lead ahead as well, so folks ahead of this know where this exact area of circulation is going.
Yeah, so pretty much right over the town, the Rec Road, El Paso Road, zooming in a little more, Bear Hollow Road, right near Rec. You got Santa Fe Road down there, and going more east as this continues to move towards Wilson. You got Ridge Road there from east to west, Dillard Road from north to south, Midway Road 2 right near the Black and Gold Casino, Memorial Road to the north of Highway 70, right along Highway 72, even Conoco Road there, and Bristol Road. So some of those roads will be getting in on this circulation here pretty soon. Even right over the circulation, Tribble Road, Whiskey Lane, some of those roads, and what's that, Wildflower Road, near Zanise Elementary, he has Wildflower Road and Memorial Road. Yep, that's what we got.
All right, thank you, Hunter. So again, this is the exact area we're watching for that potential rotation and possible tornado to be right now. Let's zoom out a little bit. I want to talk to folks out ahead of this main line. Let's go closer to I-35 there in Carter County, Hunter. Zoom on in a little bit just so we can give everyone a good idea. Again, this is Ardmore. Let's add the tornado warning back over so we can see exactly where that polygon does cover. Currently does not include all of Lone Grove, but Lone Grove High School and then Brock Baptist Church right there on the line of how far extended that tornado warning is. Ardmore down to southern Oklahoma Speedway. Here's Lake Murray right there. And then we've got Dixon out there a little bit further east, and there's 77 and I-35. So folks, anywhere along and ahead of this, even closer to northern Love County, if this storm turns a little bit farther to the east, that could hug the county line and does potentially mean that Love County could be included in this later on down the line. Let's zoom on out again a little bit. I just want to look at the storms behind this main one, Hunter, and see if we have any concerns about rotation going back. This is the line segment we've been watching. There's been some pretty consistent turning. You can see, actually, let's pause this, Hunter. I just want to show everyone with kind of this Boeing segment that so far has not been warned out behind, but this is what we're watching when we talk about rotation. This would be, again, coming into Oklahoma and eventually maybe Carter County, but let's backtrack a little bit with some of that rotation coming out of the line before, and then we can kind of go forward. You'll notice on the northern edge of the line, we're starting to get those winds really turning there, and that's where we're watching for some potential rotation on the back end that would follow this current tornado warned storm. So let's go forward from now. You're watching this initially more straight, but you'll notice that ever so slight turning. Again, that's that counterclockwise turning, bringing that air into the storm, and we're watching for any potential rotation with that one as well coming into southern Oklahoma. So that's still several miles away from Carter County, but that's going to be what's following up this tornado warning once it moves on through, and that's also why we're holding on to that low tornado risk. Even if this particular thunderstorm doesn't produce, we've got more behind it that are so showing some possible signs of rotation. Okay, let's go back to Carter County now. Right now, Hunter, looks like that couplet is still pretty much intact, getting a little bit more messy and more spread out. You're seeing some returns to the north of this that aren't nearly as clean. That's going to be from Healdton Assembly down through Zanise and then over towards Wreck, Oklahoma. And this warning does go until 9:15 today. If you are just joining us, we will likely get word before then on any possible expansion, or even possibly if they cancel this early, I doubt that will happen anytime soon, but we are seeing some of this maintaining itself, and just that northeast track is staying very consistent with that shear rate marker. Any updates coming in, Hunter, from the National Weather Service?
Nothing from the National Weather Service at all. They've been kind of typing in and out of the chat, so I'm sure they're trying to think of something to try to tell us with all the information that's coming in second by second, minute by minute, but still, those shear rate markers, it's not as bad as what it used to be, but we're still having them ever so slightly moving in towards Carter County. Let's see what Vivek has to say. Velocity data is somewhat messy, but there could still be an embedded circulation west of Wilson. So that's pretty much what we've been looking at this whole time, Mandy.
Okay, so let's pull up Wilson. We'll show you exactly where we're talking from there to the circulation. Again, this is southern Carter County that's starting to see those embedded winds move on through. This will be now ahead of REC and along 70 moving north and northeast. So folks from Hulton to Blue Ribbon Church, and then on the basically west side of I-35 in Carter County, anywhere in that specific area can see the heavy rain, the strong winds, and the potential tornado tracking off to the north and the northeast. We have decent lightning with this storm. If we want to pop up the lightning count and the lightning track, Hunter, we can show everyone just how often we're seeing the lightning. Not nearly as strong as we've seen other thunderstorms. You'll get some occasional strikes. Sometimes the lightning count can also dictate how strong this thunderstorm is. We have limited energy to work with. The further east these go will be interesting to see as this thing crosses I-35 what it does. Only about 32 lightning strikes in the last 5 to 10 minutes. We have seen higher counts than this for sure with a lot of springtime thunderstorms, but oftentimes the number of strikes in a about 10-minute period can indicate if this storm is continuing to ramp up or if maybe it's staying the intensity before weakening further on. My expectation for these thunderstorms, though, is as they continue traveling east tonight, eventually they're going to be moving into a bit more stable atmosphere with some less energy to work with, and they should fall apart. But I think we're still going to keep going with this for at least another hour for some of the storm intensity going forward. Back behind it, we're getting some of the rain. We're also getting that now here at the station. So if we want to, real quick, Hunter, let's pull up just reflectivity and show everyone who's starting to hear rain or possibly even see a little thunder at their location what we're looking at. These are all non-severe storms now moving through there in Sherman and Denison and then up into southern Bryan County. So you're going to get some brief heavy downpours, but at this time, none of that is anything that we're overly concerned about. It's the line that's out west that moves in later tonight. And we want to punch up our future sky forecast, Hunter. We can show everyone the timing, how these are supposed to evolve going forwards tonight. Data showing this through about 9 o'clock, about as expected. This will continue to build in through even 10, 11 o'clock tonight and travel off to the east through those early morning hours. So just because you haven't seen storms yet, we are expecting this main wave to continue through about sunrise Monday morning. We'll have some scattered showers after that through mid-morning on Monday, but most of the main line is going to surge east into Arkansas. And then we've got pretty cold air following suit Monday night into Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, Hunter, let's go ahead and go back to the maps now that we've showed everyone the timing on how this is going to evolve going forward. I did see the warning flashing a little bit. What update do we have coming in there?
So they're just continuing this tornado warning going until 9:15 still. They took out Jefferson County, so they're just only including Carter County right now. And what the National Weather Service was saying about this, they don't really think anything is imminent with respect to a tornado, but their confidence isn't high enough that they're going to let this warning drop. So that's still, they're in that uncertainty range of there could still be a tornado, but they're not completely certain yet. So that's just safe to say that keep the warning going just so everyone knows and they can get into their safe place, because anything can happen with Oklahoma weather, as we know. Mandy.
Absolutely. And when we talk about sheltering, when we talk about severe weather, especially come springtime, it's always the path of least regret. If there is a tornado and you don't seek shelter, you're going to regret that. If we don't have a tornado, but you have taken shelter and appropriate action, you're not going to regret that going forwards. And so like he was saying, at times this has shown some indications of weakening, but we definitely still have a very distinct couplet with this. It's holding on, and it's hard to be certain when we're after dark and things are rain wrapped if we have anything touching down at this time. So we'll continue to hold on to this warning, as you've heard, and the National Weather Service also plans to do. I will say, with as quickly as these are moving, This may outrun the polygon before 9:15, so it is possible we could see either another reissuance with this, or also oftentimes what can happen with these thunderstorms is they weaken a little bit and we drop the warning and then they ramp back up again and you see another warning issued later. So just keep that in mind. Once we hit the 9:15 clock, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be done with this storm. It may work itself out a little bit over Carter County and keep tracking east, and we may have problems later on tonight. But eventually all of this should evolve into more of a wind threat as that line arrives closer towards 10, 11 o'clock midnight tonight, and even through about 3 a.m. is about the main window we're watching for that severe weather potential. And just because we're only under a level 1 risk, as you can see right here, doesn't mean we don't have tornado potential. A level 1 risk just means maybe the number of storms might not nearly be as great as a higher risk. It doesn't mean the severity is by any means gone or less than another day. We can still have tornadoes and problems with tornadoes with any risk category. So that's something to keep in mind, not just tonight, but through spring in general, as we really start to ramp up into April and into May, which is when we see a lot more thunderstorms moving on through. You definitely don't want to let your guard down at any type of severe weather threat. Of course, we'll get you that information like we are now and through the course of events here. But we are watching the hail size dropping off ever so slightly. It ramped up right at that Carter-Jefferson County line. Since then, I don't believe we have any reports of anything higher than about an inch for that hail. That's going to be quarter size. So as far as ground truth on this, at least no intensification with the hail size. If we have that updraft graphic that I was talking to you about the other day, we can pull that up and I'll show you what we're talking about with sometimes using that hail size to indicate just how strong these thunderstorms are. Typically, the larger the hail size, the larger the thunderstorm, the higher in elevation they are, and things really get going. So this is a good indication. As a reminder for folks dealing with that hail, about a week and a half ago in Ada, they had 5.25-inch stones. That means those updraft strengths were over 100 miles per hour. But today we have about quarter-size hail, so we're expecting those updraft strengths to be about 50, maybe 55 miles per hour, could be as weak as 45 miles per hour, and that's what's taking those winds to just loft these stones up in the atmosphere. And when you have a really strong updraft, that can indicate the rotation in the middle of the storm and can also work its way down to the ground. And so we're about, I would say, middle to low end of the pack with the strength of that just with this particular storm today. Doesn't mean we won't see a tornado. It just does indicate if we do, it will likely be on the weaker end of the spectrum instead of something with much larger hail size and much stronger of a storm strength. What we can, Hunter, we can even do a cross section of the storm, see how high up we're talking with some of these just movements, the growth, everything we're seeing. These likely should be kind of dropping off in some of that intensity heading into the overnight since we are losing a lot of that energy, but I still bet we have storms at least to 30, 40,000 feet across Carter County and some of Texoma right now. Lightning strikes aren't overly active just in the last couple of minutes, and you can see Hunter's going to pull this up. We're sitting, looks like about 30,000 feet maybe for the highest in that main core, only going up until about 20,000 feet up in the atmosphere. Oftentimes in the spring, we can get storms as high as 40, 50, possibly even 60,000 feet. It's more common about 40 to 50,000 feet with some of the stronger thunderstorms. So just as a spatial indication, the storm's still holding itself together, but not growing as vertically as it moves east, which is a sign it's at least not intensifying over and over again. It's maintaining where it is strength-wise going forwards. Well, let's pull up a velocity again, see where we're at with the rotation the last couple of scans. Hopefully that continues to weaken going forwards, but this main warning is still in place. Currently does not include Ardmore. We are seeing some signs of this rotation now making kind of this northeast jump heading towards Blue Ribbon Church. That'll be crossing Highway 70 with that possible rotation, and it's right here that we're really seeing basically right over Highway 70 right now with at least 80-mile-per-hour winds to about 90-mile-per-hour winds embedded with that main circulation. And again, as a reminder, winds can still do just as much damage, sometimes even more damage than tornadoes can. Not always, but it's definitely not something to not seek shelter for regardless. You've got very strong winds embedded with this low-level rotation currently traveling through Carter County at this time. Let's zoom on out and do a big picture of what what we're seeing, because it's not just Carter County that's going to be seeing thunderstorms. We do have some rain, some thunder, and some heavy rain at times in northern Carter County. That'll be coming into Murray County and then into Garvin County, Pauls Valley, seeing that heavy rainfall. Back on the back edge of this, we've got mainly just heavy rain along and east of Highway 81 there in Stevens County from Duncan towards about Fox and Milo. They're getting some pretty heavy rainfall. And then some strong winds with those severe thunderstorms now into Jefferson County, Clay County, Montague County has not yet seen a severe thunderstorm warning be issued for this. So we're going to watch anywhere from Cook to Grayson for potential warnings later on tonight with the back end of this main line. But it is possible that we'll see a little bit more rotation embedded even behind the main line of rotation. And honestly, Hunter, it looks like this storm has stalled big time.
Yes.
This has not moved much going forwards. It was on about a 35-mile-per-hour track. Let's track that out again, because it really looks like this has reached about I-35 and kind of put on the brakes and does not look like it's wanting to move east all that much. We do see this a lot of times with thunderstorms when we have energy only available in a certain part of the state or maybe a corridor that has the best ingredients. Storms really don't like leaving that. They don't like going where it's less favorable for them to survive. So oftentimes they can slow down when they're about to leave some of that area of instability. Let's read out this track, Hunter.
Yeah, so right around now, it's right over Lone Grove High School. Ardmore, you're going to be getting in on this in about 10 minutes or so near the Ardmore Municipal Airport there in Geometry, right around 9:22. Dixon High at 9:24. The Redneck Off-Road Heaven at 9:30 and Mill Creek Limestone at 9:41. I did want to mention the National Weather Service actually has extended our severe thunderstorm watch, Mandy, and also, and not in time, but also in counties. It goes until 11 p.m. now. They have added Johnston and Marshall County to account for this storm in Carter County as it continues to move towards the east and northeast. So something to keep an eye on. This has been a very long track storm. I mean, this was the one over in Wichita Falls, and now it's all the way in Carter County and might even go in towards Johnson or Marshall County.
Yeah, what this tells me with the extension is they are expecting that storm to maintain its intensity even after it crosses I-35 and travels farther east. So folks in Marshall and Johnston County, as Hunter just mentioned, you are now under a severe thunderstorm watch. This goes till 11 o'clock. For folks farther west, you'll notice that has been trimmed back. We're really looking at that main storm that's causing these problems tonight as the reason why we still have some of these products out. No word yet on if we are going to see anything for the overnight hours as that line pushes on through, but that is going to be on the table, and we'll hear more from them for that later on tonight. But short term, we are watching storms mainly in far southern Oklahoma, and definitely looks like we are starting to see this couplet ramping up just a little bit. It's been kind of wobbling back and forth in intensity, going up and down, and is now a little bit on an upward trend, and it's on more of a northeasterly track, so this would be moving potentially anywhere from Ardmore north towards that Springer Travel Plaza and anywhere along I-35. This storm is going to be crossing that, possibly even moving towards Ardmore Municipal Airport going forwards into tonight. Current time is 9:03 p.m. We have this active tornado warning until 9:15 today. That does include Carter County. If you are just joining us, this storm has been going for hours today, has been tornado warned several times way out to the west. So we have had a history of this storm producing rotation. Currently, no confirmation that we have anything on the ground, but it's definitely not out of the question tonight going forward the next couple of hours. This storm is what we call surface based, which means it's low to the ground. The lower the storms are to the ground, the more likely they are, at least for tornado potential. They don't have as far to go for that tornado to reach the ground when they're closer to the ground. That seems pretty simple, and that's exactly how it is in terms of the setup with that. When we have elevated thunderstorms, usually we're not worried about any type of tornado risk. We have not yet reached the point of the night where thunderstorms go a bit more elevated. They are still surface-based here tonight. Any updates coming in, Hunter?
No updates ever since they reissued that severe thunderstorm watch and extended it, Mandy, but still that couplet, it's trucking along at a pretty good pace, and wind speeds right near the Black and Gold Casino, I mean, they're still around 90 miles per hour. 95 there, so we're approaching 100 miles an hour now, and this continues right along, pretty much straddling Highway 70. You'll be eventually approaching Lone Grove, maybe the Blue Ribbon Church, out towards the Ardmore Regional Park here over the course of the next, say, 15 to 30 minutes or so, but that's pretty much all I have at the moment.
Yeah, at least 95-mile-per-hour winds. Let's zoom in on some of these roads along Highway 70. We'll start where the couplet is and keep going forwards to where it could be going. Here's Conoco Road. Again, this is Carter County. We're talking about where that exact area of rotation is. This road right here, this is Highway 70. Here's Texaco Road. That's a north-south road. Conoco Road, again, if you're listening from your shelter, that's going to be an east-west road. North of that, just along 70, you have Bristol Road, and then a little bit out to the west, you've got another north-south road. That's going to be Midway Road on the south side of Highway 70. We'll go ahead and move this map once Hunter checks for some updates going forwards. Here's a couple roads out ahead of that main line of circulation. This is Lone Grove right here in Lone Grove High School. That's right along 70. So that's about on the north side of the highway there. They're going to be right along that tornado warning, and I would seek shelter if you're in that place and just a little outside of the tornado warning. Thousand Oak Street, that's going to be along and just north of Highway 70. That's going to be close to the area of rotation right now. And here's Hobble Lane. There's Conoco Road again. Memorial Road is an east-west road north of Highway 70. And folks along and north of Highway 70, let's talk about these roads. Here's Prairie Valley Road, east-west road right there. There's another Meridian Road, and again, this is going to be west of I-35. That's going to be the line you see right here with the Ardmore Regional Park. There's Plainview. They're not currently included in the tornado warning. And here's 12th Avenue Northwest. Again, another east-west road that's going to be on the north side, just north of Highway 70. So some roads that are going to be in the path of this possible rotation. Again, we are seeing winds to about 95 miles per hour right now. So some signs of this storm continuing to increase. It's been a very slow move, both either for strengthening or for weakening. That's why the tornado warning is still in place, because we haven't really seen any big drastic changes with this. It's been very consistent, and that's a great way to describe this thunderstorm in this particular cell. All day today, it's consistently produced rotation. It's consistently produced some hail. It's consistently had heavy rain and strong winds, and the rotation just has not dropped off just yet. But that's now going to be coming into Lone Grove. So if you are in Lone Grove, you need to be seeking shelter. The main rotation crossing 70, moving a bit to the northeast. So this is going to be getting closer to I-35. Let's draw out the ruler tool here, Hunter, and see how far the rotation is from there to the big interstate. If you do know folks that are traveling tonight, I know we are kind of on the back end of some folks' spring breaks. Other states may have their spring breaks later. You may have some people traveling through here that wouldn't normally travel through here. If you have a friend or family that's currently on the interstate, make sure you call them and give them a heads up. They can delay their travel a bit, let this storm cross through. That's going to have tremendous benefits to their safety overall tonight if they are aware of what's going to be moving towards them. Because again, as a reminder, as you know, it is dark and we don't have a lot of lightning with this thunderstorm. It's going to be hard to see what you're driving into, and you just don't want to drive into something as nasty as this potentially could be later on tonight. That's not what you want for your Sunday night. Do we have an update coming in, Hunter?
Yes, Mandy. So the National Weather Service in Norman is watching mainly two broad areas of circulation right now. The one that we've been talking about right now near Lone Grove, let me get my drawer out here. So this one right here, they're watching that one, but they're also watching one to the north of Wilson and east of Hilton. So I'm guessing it's that one right there, just a few little pixels, but that's their main concern with this storm, is those two broad areas. Another thing that is rather new is we have an extension again to the severe thunderstorm watch for our North Texas counties until 3 a.m. Monday morning for Monte, Cook, and Grayson counties. So it looks like it might be a little bit of a long night.
Yeah, and that's going to be that second wave that we've been talking about, we've been anticipating. We now have the watches out for that. That's going to be a long night for folks as we have storms not just out now east of Wichita Falls, but anything that's out in West Texas that moves northeast, that's going to be covering up some of our North Texas counties for tonight. Okay, looks like we have a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning. This is now going to include the rest of Carter County, some of Murray County, and this could be an indication that they're going to let that tornado warning expire at 9:15 and just have a severe thunderstorm warning kind of cover that path going forwards tonight. Hunter, let's go ahead and read the specs off with this new warning.
Yeah, so this warning is for Carter and Murray counties. It goes until 10 p.m. this evening. Just the basics here: 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail, moving east still at around 30 miles per hour. So it will be starting to impact just north of Ardmore, near the airport there, Ardmore Municipal Airport, near Central Baptist Church, maybe even, if this holds its act together, up towards Mill Creek, out towards Tishomingo National Fish Hatchery out there in the stables at Washita Farms, right along just towards the Highway 377. But the main concern right now is I-35, Highway 77, those north-south interstates and highways there as the storm continues its path towards the north and east. Mandy.
Yeah, Hunter, let's zoom in a little bit and pause this. It looks like we may have just a slight inflow notch starting to form right there in Lone Grove. What this is a storm brings in that warm, moist air, typically from the south, pulls it into the storm. That's kind of feeding the beast, so to say, and that oftentimes is how we continue getting some of that low-level circulation. So that would be right over Lone Grove, but this is right at the end of the tornado warning at this time, and so possibly some signs of this storm getting its act together again. But as a reminder, we have at least 90-mile-per-hour winds embedded with this very broad circulation. And do me a favor, Hunter, let's pull up velocity. I just want to check the any type of rotation with this particular one, as well as anything further back. Just zoom on out a little more for me. I want to see what's kind of on the heels. We are getting a little bit of messy stuff there in far western Carter County, but the main show is still right over 70. Let's go back to that other storm that was on its heels. This one looks like mainly some gusty winds. Still doesn't look like we're seeing any type of tornado warnings with that, but there's going to be some strong winds that are also going to be coming into Love County. That's going to be about 5 to 10 miles away from the county line. So as just a heads up, far western Love County could be seeing some very strong straight line winds coming into the west side of your county too, with this kind of back end of the line moving forward tonight. Okay, we can go ahead and add that tornado warning back just so you can see where that is current time. We have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings still in place right now. The main one does now include Ardmore as well as some of Murray County. This is not yet including Johnson or Marshall counties, but those have been added to the watch, and we are expecting these thunderstorms to be traveling east tonight and impacting more folks there in far southern Oklahoma. You can probably hear the rain every now and again on our tower cam. Those showers in North Texas so far are not severe, but we are expecting stronger storms for you if you're in Texas later tonight through at least 3 a.m. Monday morning. So it is expected to be a bit of a long night for folks as these storms in this main line of thunderstorms moves on through. We'll get some good soaking rain out of it, but we're also going to have the wind and potentially the tornado threat to deal with going forwards. Looks like we have another severe thunderstorm warning now in place. Those winds I was just talking about that were going to come into the west side of Love County, well, the National Weather Service agrees, and that severe thunderstorm warning for Love County now until 10 o'clock. Hunter, go ahead and read me the specs with that one as those strong winds are going to be moving in.
Yep, so Carter, Jefferson, and Love counties through 10 p.m. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail, the main threats with this. This storm is trucking right around 50 miles per hour to the east, so far cry from what that original storm, the tornado one, warned one, was at around 30-ish miles per hour moving towards the east. This one is going about 20 miles per hour faster at around 50 miles per hour. So yeah, it's that Boeing segment right there. If I get my drawer tool right here, it's just kind of extending itself out. And of course, that was the thing we were seeing on velocity.
Yeah.
There.
Now, something we are going to need to monitor, and this is going to be interesting how this evolves. You can really see, of course, the Boeing segment, those very strong embedded winds. This back end of the line is now starting to overtake the front end of the line. So whenever you have two storms combining, colliding, whatever it may be, oftentimes they mess up the updrafts, kind of weaken things. So that is a possibility that we see the northern edge of this line starting to weaken a bit. But most often what happens is that when these combine, it can have some effects for these thunderstorms to ramp back up again. And so I am interested to see as these winds on the back end kind of come into fuel this main line at the front, if we're going to have something spin up briefly out ahead of it, or if it's just going to kind of knock everything and disorient everything as it moves on in. So that's going to be interesting to see how this evolves over about the next 30 minutes, I would say. But the secondary line is definitely racing. That's going to catch up for sure with this leading line. And then we'll watch everything moving east going forward tonight. Okay, so we're about a minute away from this tornado warning expiring at 9:15. Still no word yet. I do believe they are going to plan on letting that warning just end at 9:15, but waiting to see for sure what the National Weather Service does. And there you go. It does look like that tornado warning has now dropped and is no longer in place for Carter County. We are still dealing with some broad rotation right now in Carter County. This will be crossing over I-35 in the next 10 minutes or so, moving about north of Ardmore. At this time, we don't currently have any active tornado warnings. So guys in the back, let me know when we're good to do this, but we're currently in our 9 o'clock show on the CW. So we'll go ahead and toss to the desk and reset for that. If you're watching us on anywhere from NBC or ABC channels, we'll be on the CW and you can catch us again at 10 o'clock. But for now, we're going to get you back to your programming.